All right, we will begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Arman Ulai. Welcome to your BIOL 65 mid-semester workshop. A little bit about myself as an introduction is I'm a third-year kinesiology student with a concentration in rehab sciences. With that, I plan to hopefully do something with physical therapy, and I'm really interested in like UFC and fighting. So I know a lot of fighters get hurt often, so that would hopefully be a good career path for me. I'm from the Bay Area as well, so I'm really familiar with San Jose and places around here. And for my tutoring schedules, I tutor Monday and Wednesdays at 12:30 to 1:30 and 4 to 5, and on Thursday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you ever need help, feel free to schedule an appointment. We also have another BIOL 65 tutor, Stacy, who's my partner. She has her own hours, which I will show to you at the end. So between us two, you guys can pick and get any tutoring that you need. So to begin with our workshop today, a little overview of what we'll be talking about is first we'll be looking at the joints. We'll go over the joints, the cranial nerves that I know you guys just recently learned, and then we'll have a little quiz on muscles at the end. I want to try to focus on the main points because anatomy has a lot of information in it, so it's kind of hard to cover everything. So I want to stick to like the big ideas. There will be polling questions and study tips for you guys to participate in. And also feel free to turn on your cameras and speak up whenever you want. It's okay if you interrupt me if you have a question or anything. You can just say it because I want this to be interactive and for us to all like do it together. Okay, to begin, we have a little icebreaker poll for you guys to get used to how it works. The question is, if you had to pick one unique house pet, which would it be? And I will send that poll out right now. All right, I'm not sure if you guys can see the results, but most of you guys picked rabbit, second is ferret, third is snake, and then last is a pig. No one picked the raccoon. I was surprised by that, but oh yeah, you can share results. Yeah, so those are the results for what you guys picked for it. Pretty interesting. Personally, I would pick a ferret out of these 5 animals. I don't know, they're really cute and like small, so that's my preference. But moving on, we'll first talk about joints, which are also known as articulations, basically where 2 bones touch each other. So yeah, joints are the place where a bone meets another bone, cartilage, or teeth. They are classified by structure, and these structures are fibrous joints, which are joined by dense regular connective tissue. Sorry about that. The structure for dense regular connective tissue is that they are really compact, and if you look at their histology, they're really organized and uniform in the way that they're that they look under a microscope. So that's like the tell for dense regular connective tissue. There are also cartilaginous joints, which are joined by cartilage. There are also 3 types of cartilage. They are hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and elastic cartilage. And lastly, there are synovial joints, which are separated by fluid-filled cavities. So there's little fluids that are in between these that make up the joint. So moving on to fibrous joints, there are 3 types. Does anybody know which any of these types are? Does anyone know the names of these? You could type it in the chat or speak up if you know it. Someone asked, Am I providing slides after the workshop? Yes. I will send out a survey. If you complete the survey, you'll get the slides. You'll get answer keys to the questions on the slides, and they'll be at the end of today. Okay, but for the three types of fibrous joints, the first is gomphosis, which is located between the teeth and maxilla and mandible. So the maxilla is your upper jaw, your mandible is your lower jaw, and the connection that the teeth has to your jaw, that's formed by gomphosis joints. Second are sutures, which are between your skull bones. So this is what connects all the bones in your skull together. And lastly, there's a syndesmosis, which are between parallel bones in the forearm and leg. So parallel bones would be like your ulna and radius in your forearm, and your tibia and fibula in your leg. And the purpose of those joints is to keep the structure and support the two bones, because as you move it, they kind of rotate, and that joint in between them helps keep the structure, helps helps it move and not like go out of position or break apart. So if we look at these images, you can see the gomphosis. They're in between where the root of the teeth connects with the jaw, and you can see the periodontal membranes. Yes, you can see the periodontal membranes. And in anatomy, a lot of words a lot of terms correlate to like the meaning or the study of whatever I guess that they're talking about. So periodontal refers to periodontology, which is the study of the supporting structures of teeth. So this is a supporting structure that connects the teeth to your jaw. So this whole area is the gomphosis joint. And then on your sutures, these are what connect your cranial bones together. So they're really dense and they form together, and they kind of just like slide together with the shape that they have with the lines of the suture. And for the syndesmosis joint, you can see that there's that membrane called the interosseous membrane. Osseous refers to bones, and inter just means in between. So this is in between bones, and it's a membrane that just helps with the structure and the support of your tibia and fibula and your ulna and radius. And as you like move and rotate, it moves as well, and it keeps the structure of it. Okay, so moving on. We also have there, that laser pointer is much better. We have cartilaginous joints. There are two types. Does anyone know which two types these are? It's all right. First is yes, synchondrosis. Very good. They are joined by hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is the most common cartilage in your body. And there's also the symphysis, which are joined by pads of fibrocartilage. Fibrocartilage are very tough and inflexible, so they don't move often, or they don't move much, and they're really strong. So it's there to support your bones and to have it not move around or have anything like happen to it. In these images, you can see where the synchondrosis joint is. One of the places that it stays at is epiphyseal plate. It's hard to pronounce. Epiphyseal plate. And basically what the epiphyseal plate is this hyaline cartilage that's at the end of long bones. And you have it when you're growing up, like when you're a kid or a teenager, and as you're an adult, that hyaline cartilage becomes just straight bone. It hardens and it just becomes bone. And the epiphyseal plate kind of determines like your height and how much you grow, because eventually it just turns to bone. And then once it turns to bone, then that's when you stop growing as an adult. Some more places where synchondrosis joints are in between the first rib and the sternum. So that articulation, that connection right there is where it would be located. And then underneath it would just be other sternocostal joints, which are synovial joints. So only the first rib where it connects to the sternum is where the synchondrosis is located. And when we look at symphysis, you can see that one place is where the pubic symphysis is. So this is where both your pubic bones in your hip connect, and that's formed by that pad of fibrocartilage. And in between your vertebrae in your spine, you have those pads that make up and connect all your spine together. So these are pads, they don't move much, and they're very important that they don't break, because otherwise it'll be a lot of pain and it'll be bad for your bones. So they want to connect and keep your bones connected like really sturdily. So a little poll, which of the fibrous joints are formed between your skull? I will send that out right now. The correct answer are sutures. Remember, sutures are the ones that are in between your skulls. So most of you guys got it correct. Great job. And yeah, you might confuse the gyrus. They're also in your brain, but they're like the soft tissue part. The sutures are the ones that actually connect your skull bones together. So moving on to synovial joint structures. First, we have ligaments, and ligaments connect bones with dense, regular connective tissue. And if you look at a synovial joint, there are kind of different layers. So starting on the outside would be the ligament, and their job is to strengthen and reinforce the articular capsule. So the articular capsule has 2 layers to it. Does anyone know what these 2 layers are? Synovial. Yes, correct. Fibrous and synovial. Great job. So the first layer is the outer fibrous layer. It consists of dense, regular connective tissue, and this job is to strengthen the joint. And as you go more inside, there's the inner synovial membrane, whose job is to secrete synovial fluid. So if we look at this image, you can kind of see the outside layer. This white piece is a ligament. And then as you go more inside, this more bluish grayish area is the articular capsule. So that consists of that outer fibrous layer, the bluish grayish part, and then the synovial membrane, which is a little bit more inside, which is that purple area. And this job is to secrete the synovial fluid into that joint cavity, which is that open space in between the 2 articulating bones. So if we move on to the joint cavity, that is a space between articulating bones, that little small area just in between where your bones touch each other and connect. And it consists of synovial fluid. Does anybody know what the job of synovial fluid is? What does it do? What's its purpose? Prevent bones from rubbing against each other. That's one of them. Not exactly like prevent the bones. It more like lubricates the articular cartilages. So where the bones touch each other, it lubricates it, which reduces the friction. Which because if you run out of synovial fluid and your bones are rubbing against each other, that will create a lot of pain. So the point of the synovial fluid is to give it to lubricate it, to make it more, or to essentially reduce friction so it doesn't rub too hard against each other. It also nourishes the chondrocytes. Sites just means, if you see site in a word or a term, that means cell. So chondrocytes are the cells of the cartilage. Chondro refers to cartilage. What can make you run out of synovial fluid? I'm pretty sure it's just like with age. If you overuse like your joints a lot, like if you're doing heavy lifting and then your joints are pressing together often, that's one way to ruin your joints a lot. Because if you do it over and over again, even though your muscles can handle it, your joints often can't. So that's why if you lift really heavy weights, then you have a lot of joint problems. And I'm pretty sure just like with age, your body then naturally stops producing enough synovial fluid. So that's where arthritis comes in, and people as they get older have joint problems. So that's how. I'm not sure if you can run out, but definitely you start to make less as you start getting older. And if you put a lot of pressure on your joints, like just throughout the years, then that will also affect how much synovial fluid and how your joints are when you're older. So another function of synovial fluid is that it nourishes the chondrocytes. So the synovial fluid goes and promotes the synthesis or the creation of the chondrocytes, which helps keep the articular cartilages healthy. And if you need more, then they'll start creating more and strengthening that joint area. And also it absorbs shock. So when you're doing stuff like jumping or lifting or sports or anything active, your joints have pressure put on them. So another purpose of the synovial fluid is to absorb the shock, so your bones aren't just hitting each other and causing a lot of pain. And the articular cartilage is a thin layer of hyaline cartilage that covers the articulating surfaces of bones. Articulating just basically means touching. So when you see that, it just means that they're touching the touching surfaces of the bones, the ends of the bones that touch each other, and also reduces friction and absorbs shock. So that's it kind of has a little bit of the same function as a synovial fluid, but that's that little cartilage layer that's covering the end of the bones. So if we see in this image, the joint cavity that contains the synovial fluid, you just have a little bit of fluid in this area that helps nourish and reduce friction. And then you see the bone, and right above it, that white and grayish structure, that's the articular cartilage. That's the cartilage that's on the top of your bones. And they kind of, they also absorb shock and prevent the friction of the two bones touching each other. Because as you get older, sometimes these cartilages can reduce and diminish. So then that's when you get bone on bone rubbing each other. And that's very, very painful. So that's one reason why you want this articular cartilage to be healthy and strong, especially as you get older. Because people with arthritis, these cartilages just diminish, and then they have bone on bone just touching each other, and that's very painful in like your knees or your fingers or pretty much almost anywhere on your body. So some other structures that are involved with synovial joints are the bursa. and the tendon sheets. Does anybody know what the bursa is? Does anyone remember? So for the bursa, bursa is sacs of synovial fluids that can out of synovial joints that contain synovial fluid. Yes. So there's a difference in name between articular capsule and articular cartilage, even though the capsule has a cartilage layer in it. Yeah. So the articular capsule is the outer fibrous joint and the inner synovial membrane. That's the capsule. And then the articular cartilage is that cartilage that's on the end of the bones, right as they touch each other. So yes, those are two different names, two different structures. So think of like capsule, it's like, I guess like it encloses, like it's a capsule. So there's something inside it. So it's the two layers, and then cartilage are just the points that touch each other, the little layer on the top of the end of the bones. And yes, you were correct about the bursa. Bursas are sacs of synovial fluid outside most synovial joints where ligaments, muscles, tendons, or bones rub. So the bursa kind of acts as a cushion, and it reduces the friction between the bones and the tissues. And tendon sheets are elongated bursa around tendon. So if you look at these images, you can kind of see the subtendinous bursa. Sub just means like underneath or deeper. So it's underneath or more deep into the body, and that's where these bursa like kind of lay. So it reduces the friction, and it's like that little cushion, a little sack of like fluid that cushions your bones and tissues so they don't rub against each other and hurt too much. And as you can see in the tendon sheets, they kind of just go over the tendons, like in your hand. They just kind of cover, and it does the same thing. It acts as a cushion for your tendons, so they don't rub against bones or any other parts, and that causes pain. So we have some more polling questions. What are the 3 types of joints? The main 3 types of joints. We'll send that out now. Wait for one moment. All right, great job. Everyone got it correct. Yes, so it's the fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. Correct. And next poll. True or false, the outer fibrous layer secretes synovial fluid into the joint cavity. I'll send that now. So the correct answer is false. Does anybody know what layer secretes synovial fluid into the joint cavity? Yes, correct. The synovial membrane. The synovial membrane is the inner layer of the articular capsule. So if we go back, you can see the synovial membrane is that purple layer. It's the inner synovial membrane, but the fibrous layer is the outside. And the function of the fibrous layer is to strengthen and support the joint. But then the synovial membrane, the inside membrane, is the one that releases the synovial fluid into that joint cavity. So you can kind of think like fibrous. There's also like fibrous joints. So that's more on the outside. It's what strengthen it. And then the synovial membrane secretes synovial fluid, which is why it's called synovial membrane. So the synovial membrane is the inner layer. The fibrous layer is the outer layer. Poll 5. Which is not a function of synovial fluid? I will send that out now. Oh, oopsies. So the correct answer is regulates inner cavity temperature. It does not do that. The synovial fluid does nourish the chondrocytes. So the fluid keeps the cartilage healthy, the cells within the cartilage, the cells within the articular cartilage. It keeps it healthy. It promotes the synthesis or the creation of it. And it also does other things like absorbs the shock. That fluid helps absorb shocks when you're using your joints, like when you jump or when you move around. And also lubricates the articular cartilages, which is to prevent the friction of your bones or cartilage rubbing against each other. Because if there was no lubrication, it would be very painful for you to move your joints around, essentially. And it does not regulate inner cavity temperature. That is performed by some other part of your body, your temperature. So does anyone have any questions regarding the joints before we move on? No questions? Great. All right. So next we have cranial nerves. Oh, I was gonna ask if anyone knew how many pairs there were, but there are 12 pairs from regions in the brain and cranium. So you have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. They are part of the peripheral nervous system, all of them except cranial nerve 2, which is the optic nerve. And important things to know about cranial nerves are their number, which number they are, 1 through 12, their name, their function, and the type, so whether they're sensory, motor, or both, and the location that they are on the brain. So like when you look at an image, you'll probably be tested on this. You'll have to point out where a specific nerve is on the brain and what it looks like. So you have to be able to identify where it is and what it looks like. So as we go through the cranial nerves, we have the first one, which is the olfactory nerve. Its function is for your sense of smell. It is also a sensory nerve. And for me, like these little tips that I have at the bottom is what I use to study them and to memorize them. So when I think of olfactory, I think of odors, and odors is what you smell. So its function is smell. If you see on this image on the right side, the olfactory nerve is this one that kind of goes down the middle, and it has that bulb on the end. So that's an easy way to identify it. This middle one with the bulbs on the end. And then moving on to the next nerve, the second is the optic nerve. Its function is for your vision. It is also a sensory nerve. And when I hear optic, think of optical illusions. it's something that you see. So the optic nerve is what helps you it's what allows you to see. And you can see in this image that it connects to the eyeball. So this nerve that goes out onto the eyeballs is your optic nerve. That's a this is one of the easier ones to identify because it has an eyeball on the end. So when you think of optic, think optical illusion. It's something you see. So optic nerve is responsible for vision. Third is the ocular motor. Its function is eye movement, and it is a motor cranial nerve. So when to like kind of break down the word, oculo refers to the eye, and motor just means movement. So it's the movement of the eye. That's how I remembered it. And this is a little harder to remember the structure or like where it's located, but the oculomotor nerve comes out of the pons like more towards the middle, and it's more straight, and it kind of like shoots out diagonally. So that's where it is located on your brain. And specifically, specifically the oculomotor nerve innervates with the superior branch and the inferior branch of your eye muscles. So these are the muscles that help you move your eye like up and down, the superior and inferior branch. So that's what the oculomotor nerve is responsible for. It's so that you can move your eyes like up and down like that. That's what that nerve is for. Moving on, we have the trochlear nerve, which is the fourth one. It is also responsible for eye movement, and it is a motor nerve. I don't really have a like a tip to kind of like remember this. I kind of just like this nerve is like one of the ones that you just kind of like study and remember. You can see that it innervates with the superior oblique muscle of your eye. So the difference between the superior oblique muscle and this but actually this is not, it's called the superior rectus muscle, this one that the ocular motor innervates with, and this one is a superior oblique muscle. So rectus just means straight, so it's the straight muscle. It helps you move like straight up and down. But oblique, the superior oblique muscle helps you rotate your eyes. So the trochlear nerve is what's responsible for you to like rotate or like roll your eyes, or like if you move your head but then you keep your vision straight, the trochlear nerve is allowing you to do that, to keep that eye rotating. In this where it's located, it's a little bit to the right of the ocular motor nerve. It's more shorter, and it kind of it's a more curvy. The ocular motor nerve is straight, but this one's more curvy. So that's where it's located. I don't really have like I guess like a tip to memorize this one. It's more of the ones that you just gotta like study and remember. Moving on, we have the fifth nerve, which is the trigeminal nerve. It is responsible for face sensation and the control of chewing. So it is both a sensory and motor nerve. So it helps you chew, which is the motor part, and then the face sensation, like when you touch your face or you feel things on your face, that's also what it is responsible for. So when you see trigeminal, you think tri, there's three parts to it. And you could see in this image how it kind of separates and to three different parts. You have the ophthalmic division. Ophthalmic, I'm pretty sure refers to like your eye area. So that's where these nerves go more towards your eyes. And then you have the maxillary division, which is your upper jaw, and then the mandibular division, which is your lower jaw. So you can kind of see in this image as well, the first division goes for like more of the top of your face and where your eyes are, and then where your upper jaw is, and as well as your lower jaw. So when you see trigeminal, there's three parts. The trigeminal nerve, it's a little bit easier to identify because you have these three nerves separating out of the original one. So when you see trigeminal, look for the one that has 3 nerves coming out of it, because that's where it separates into its 3 different parts of your face. For some reason, I can't see the chat anymore. I'm not sure if you guys asked any questions. I'm sorry if I missed any.
Really quickly, I think you're on the slide of optic nerve, not the trigeminal.
Could you say that again?
I think you're on the slide of optic nerve, not the trigeminal nerve, because
Oh, really?
yeah, it still says like optic nerve.
Is it changing right now?
No, it's still the same.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, now you're on trochlear.
Okay, let's see this. Am I on olfactory now?
No, you're still on trochlear.
What the? What's wrong with the screen sharing? All right, I'll stop the screen sharing. Then. And my Zoom is like glitching out right now. Yeah. Yeah, my Zoom is like really glitching out right now. Sorry about that. Like the format and the structure of it, it's all. Oh man, I was going through all the slides without knowing. Yeah, my Zoom is not working.
The explanations were still good.
Thank you. Sorry for these difficulties. I don't know what just happened to everything. I think I might have to end this and restart it, guys, because like if I open up the Zoom app, like I don't see anything. It's just like blank white and black. So I can't get to any controls or anything. So I'm just thinking I have to restart it. If you guys just can just all rejoin, like right after I end it, I'll restart it and you guys can rejoin it, because like the Zoom, basically my Zoom crashed essentially. So sorry about that. I will restart it immediately. What's going on?
I think you're on mute, or is that?
Sorry, yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that. Can everyone see the screen now?
Yeah, I can see it. You're on olfactory nerve right now.
And you see it changing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, my Zoom just crashed, I guess, when I was on this. So what do you guys remember which nerve that you last saw?
I think it was optic.
Optic? Okay. So optic is the second one. I can go over them. Sorry, yeah. My Zoom crashed and I did not know. Cause yeah, I couldn't pull up any functions or anything. But yeah, so the optic nerve is vision. It is a sensory nerve. So I have this little tip. Think of optical illusion. When you see optic and you can see it's connected to the eyeball here. And yeah, that's a good indicator of like which nerve is optic nerve. It's the one that connects to the eyeball. So moving on to the third one is the ocular motor, which is also responsible for eye movement. It is a motor nerve, and my little tip is when I see it is think oculo means eye and motor is movement. You can kind of see here, it's where it innervates with the superior branch innervates with the superior rectus muscle of your eye, and then the inferior branch innervates with the inferior rectus of your eye. So that's the one that makes you move your eye straight up and down. And you can see here the oculomotor nerve comes out of the pons, the top of the pons. It is this straight nerve that just shoots out through the middle. And then moving on, we have the trochlear nerve, which is also responsible for eye movement. It is another motor nerve. You can see here that it innervates with the superior oblique muscle. As I mentioned before, this is the one that helps you rotate your eyes. It's a little bit towards the right side of the ocular motor nerve. It's this more curvy one, and it's kind of smaller. You could think of it as it is in between the in between the ocular motor nerve and the trigeminal nerve. So, and moving on to the trigeminal nerve, it is responsible for face sensation and the controlling of your chewing. So a easy way to identify this trigeminal nerve is that there are 3 parts that kind of like split off of it, and those 3 parts innervate with different parts of your face. So you have more towards your eye, or more towards your maxillary, which is your upper jaw, or your mandible, which is your lower jaw. So if you have trouble like identifying the trochlear nerve, it is in between the trigeminal and ocular motor. How can you tell the difference between the superior rectus and the superior oblique muscle? So looking at images, so we can move on to the abducens, but the superior rectus is that like straight one. This might not be the best diagram for it, but the superior rectus is straight, and it is like directly on top, like it's the top one, and the inferior rectus is like directly underneath. I'm not sure if these are the greatest pictures for you to see, but if we go back, the superior oblique is kind of more like above and more medial. It's more medial within the eye, while the superior rectus is like directly on top, like the like straight on top, if that helps. So for the 6th cranial nerve is the abducens. This is also responsible for eye movement. It is a motor nerve as well. And a way to identify it is that it is this one kind of down the middle. You can kind of like play around with like how you remember it. One thing I kind of did was like abducens, abs are like in the middle of your body, so these nerves are more towards like the middle of your brain. That's how like I tried to remember to be able to identify where it was in the diagrams. So abs are down your middle, the abducens nerve is more down the middle of the brain, like rather than off to the side like the other nerves. So pole 6, which nerves control eye movement? Launch that. So the correct answer is the ocular motor, trochlear, and trigeminal. You might get mistaken with the optic nerve. That is responsible for your vision. to let you see stuff, but not to let you move your eye around. So ocular motor is one of the easier ones because oculo just means eye and motor means moving. But the trochlear and the abducens are also responsible for your movement of the eye. And it can be easy to mistake the optic nerve, but that is the nerve that helps you see, not actually move the eye around. What kind of movement does the abducens do? So the abducens, their job is it innervates with the lateral rectus muscle. So it is the straight muscle that's on the side, which is what lateral means, and that helps you like move your eyes side to side. So if we look at these three nerves, the ocular motor is what helps you move your eyes like up and down. The trochlear is like helps you like rotate your eyes, and the abducens is what helps you move your eyes side to side. So those are like the three different movements that it does. And moving on to the seventh nerve, it is the facial nerve, which controls what is responsible for your taste and control of expressions and facial secretions. So this makes it both a sensory and a motor nerve. And when you see face, just of course think of, or when you see facial, think of face. So you can see here how it is responsible for like these different areas of your face: the temporal, zygomatic, buccal, mandibular, and cervical. And those are all just referring to like different parts in your face. Like the temporal is like referring to your temporal bone or the area kind of on the side of your head. Zygomatic is referring to the zygomatic bone, basically your cheekbones. Buccal refers to the buccinator, which is a muscle that you have right kind of like going this way, right where your cheek is, right about where your mouth is. Mandibular just means the mandible, and the cervical means the your cervical spine, more towards the top of your neck. And it is located. This is one of the harder ones because you can kind of see underneath it. There's the vestibular cochlear nerve, which is like it looks like it's in the same area. Like it's pretty hard to tell. But the facial nerve is that kind of like cluster of nerves, because you can kind of see that it separates, but is that cluster of nerves more a little bit above the vestibular cochlear. It is one of the harder ones, I would say, for you to remember like the location, but it is this one right a little bit above and off to the right side of the abducens nerve. So the eighth cranial nerve is the vestibular cochlear. It is responsible for your hearing and equilibrium. Equilibrium is just like your balance and being able to like stay upright and not fall over. It is also a sensory nerve. And when you see vestibular cochlear, I think of the cochlea, which is in your ear, which is what makes the nerve responsible for your hearing and your equilibrium, because that's in your ear is where your ear is basically responsible, or a structure within your ear is responsible for you to not fall over. It's for your balance, because the fluids in these semicircular ducts are responsible for you being able to move forward, up and down, and side to side without like falling over, to keep your balance and equilibrium. Yeah, this is one of the harder nerves to know the location of, but it is like a little bit under the facial nerve. That's all I can really say about it. This is one of the ones that you gotta memorize, just like study, unlike the other ones where you could kind of like have tips to be able to identify. This is just a little bit under the facial nerves, and it's kind of like in that cluster of nerves that's right there. The ninth nerve is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Its function is sensory and motor functions for the head, neck, and thorax. So it is both a motor and a sensory nerve. When I see pharyngeal, I think of the pharynx, which is the structure that's behind your nose, mouth, and a little bit to the top of your throat. That's like that canal or like opening that's behind your nose, mouth, and like the top of your throat. So you can see here how it innervates to a little bit behind your mouth and then more down towards your pharynx, which is like where your head, neck, and thorax are. And it is their location on the brain. It's a little bit underneath. It's that like structure right here that sticks out underneath the facial and vestibular cochlear nerves. So this is you have to like be a little careful when you look at it. It's that one that sticks out just underneath it, underneath the pons, kind of going sideways, more lateral instead of going up. And the 10th nerve we have is the vagus nerve. It is responsible for your taste, gastrointestinal sensation, and the control of visceral organs. And visceral just means like the inner, your inner, like inside your body. So like all the organs that are more towards your torso and inside your body. So it's both a sensory and motor nerve. And you can see here that it goes from your brain and it goes all the way down to organs like your lungs, your heart, your stomach, your kidneys, your liver. So when it says like control of visceral organs, that is basically like what allows you to, or what allows those organs to move, like your intestines. That is, it allows your intestines to move the food around and like be able to digest it and everything. And then this sensation is like the feeling that you can like kind of feel like maybe you're hungry, or like you ate something bad and like in your intestines, like you have bad cramps or whatever. That's due to the vagus nerve. So you can see here the vagus nerve is this one that sticks out more sideways, a little bit under the glossopharyngeal nerve. Be a little careful not to identify it with the hypoglossal nerve, which looks almost the same. It's kind of hard to identify, but it's a little bit above and behind it. That's where the vagus nerve is located. So moving on to the 11th nerve is the accessory nerve. This is responsible for swallowing and head, neck, and shoulder movements. So this is a motor nerve. And you can see here in this image that it goes down to different muscles within your neck, which like your sternocleidomastoid muscle, which helps you rotate your neck around, and like your trapezius muscle, which also helps you move your head and neck around, as well as like elevate your shoulders and move that around. So this is all responsible. This is all like due to your accessory nerves innervating with them and allowing this movement. It also goes down a little bit on your spine, as well, which helps you also move your head and neck. You can see it is actually, if like all the other nerves, like you go down the list and they're kind of like underneath each other, but the accessory nerve, be careful not to think it's the hypoglossal nerve. It is, even though it's the 11th one, it's a little bit underneath it. So it is this nerve right here. And a good way to identify it is that it goes all the way down. This whole like line, or this nerve, is the accessory nerve. So that's the one that's going down your spine. So that's a good way to identify it, because it's long and it's going downwards, where it reaches like different parts of your neck and shoulders and spine. And lastly, we have the hypoglossal, which is responsible for tongue movements, which is a motor nerve. So hypo just means underneath. Like if you see hypo in like terms, just in with other anatomy terms, it just means under. And glosso refers to your tongue. So it's underneath the tongue, which you can see here, it goes underneath the tongue and then more up. And then that's responsible for you to be able to move your tongue and essentially talk. So the hypoglossal nerve is this one right here that has a lot of roots. into the medulla oblongata. So it has a lot of roots, which is a good way to identify it and differentiate it between the other nerves. And just try not to get it confused with the vagus nerves because they do look really similar and they're right next to each other. So, true or false? The vagus nerve is a sensory nerve. I will send that poll out right now. And the correct answer, oh, we have a question. Do you say that all of them are part of the PNS except for the optic nerve, even the ones with eye movement and smell? Yes, all of them except the optic nerve is part of the PNS. So the answer to this polling question is false. Does anyone know what the type of vagus or what the type of nerve the vagus nerve is? Is it sensory, motor, or both? Yes, correct. It is both sensory and motor. So if we go back to it, you can see that it is responsible not only for your taste, which is a sensation, and the gastrointestinal sensation, like maybe pain or a feeling that you get in your guts, but also the control of visceral organs. So it helps like the heartbeat, or helps the stomach move the food, or the intestines move the food. So it's both sensory and motor. So here's like a little chart I created for you guys if you guys want the slides afterwards. It has the number, the name, the function, and the type. So all kind of like lined up really easily for you guys to study. Essentially, this is what you need to know for the nerves, just the name, number, function, and type, as well as when you look at for your lab test, the location of it on your brain. Some ways that you guys can remember it is through mnemonics. You guys probably heard a few in class. For the cranial nerves, what I used to remember it would be the O once one takes the anatomy final. Very good vacations are happening. So you just go by the first letter, and then that will refer to like the order of the cranial nerves. As well, there's also mnemonics for the type of nerve that there are. What I used was some say marry money, but my brother says big brains matter most. So that's where you can see it's sensory, or motor, or both. That's how you determine going like through the order of the cranial nerves. Does anyone have any questions regarding the cranial nerves?
Going off of what Tal said, so only the optic, I mean, everything but the optic nerve is part of the PNS?
Yes. Here we can go. Everything except cranial nerve number 2 is part of the peripheral nervous system.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Another question. Can you go back for a sec? Want to copy the memory aid? Yes, so I can go back to the mnemonics. And you guys can also get all these slides and the answer to the polling questions at the end as well. When I'll send out a survey link. All you need to do is complete the survey, and then I'll send you all the information and all the material that is provided from this workshop. All right, so Slido time. Slido is basically a website. It's essentially like Kahoot. All you guys need to do is head to slido.com and then enter code I know anatomy as you see right here, and then it should take you to like a page, and then I'll start sending out like little questions for you to answer, and then some of them or most of them have images on it because I want to kind of cover the lab portion of your muscles and stuff. A lot of questions will be regarding the muscles, so like when you go into your lab test, you'll like get images, and you'll need to know what muscle is what. So I want to provide the images. The images will be on the slide, and on like your phone or other device, you can answer the questions and go through the quiz. Yeah, you guys can all join. Yeah, and you can put whatever name you want, by the way. You can be fun, just it could be anything as long as it's not like bad, but any nickname that you want. So far 5 have joined. I'll wait for the rest of you guys. Who's we? We have 9 people in so far out of 12, I think we have in here. 10 are in, 11. Maybe waiting for one more. I think you can join anytime, however, if you're not in, because if we should get it started. Okay. I'll start the quiz now. So first question. Which muscle is highlighted? Each question, you have 30 seconds to answer it. I hope that's enough time. Correct answer is the correct answer is the gluteus maximus. That is that big muscle on your butt. Essentially, the gluteus medius is smaller and underneath it. So this big muscle on the outside is the gluteus maximus. And I'm sure you guys can see the leaderboard. So next question. Which muscle is highlighted? I see the results like coming up and like what different people answer and how many answer and which one. So the correct answer is the rectus abdominis. So the rectus means straight. That's one way I remember it. That these are like the abs that are like straight, just straight down the middle. Transverse is more like on the side or sideways. So that's how I identify. Rectus is straight, so these abs are like straight and down the middle, and they go straight down.
Which one is the internal oblique?
The internal oblique. The oblique muscles are the ones that are on your. The oblique muscles are the ones that are on your side. So those are the yeah. I guess you can see it right here where it's highlighted. These are on the side. There's external and internal. Internal is just like it's like when on your abs, there's like different layers. I think there are like 3 layers. Like if you take like the first layer off, there's like a few more layers of muscles. So the internal oblique is one of the inner layers. I'm not sure if it's the second or third, but it is on the slot on the side. Your obliques are on the side of your, like on the side of your body or your abs. Rectus is the one that's like straight down the middle. The obliques are on your sides. So yeah, you guys can all see the leaderboard. Next question. Which movement is being performed? The correct answer is adduction. So the difference between like flexion is like when you like flex your limbs, or like this is also flexion, like flexing your wrist. Abduction and adduction, the difference between it is abduction is like when you're going away, like I'm abducting my arms right now, but then when I go to my body, I'm adducting. So the way I think of it is abduction is like when you abduct somebody, you're taking them away. So like when you abduct your limbs, you're going away from your body. And adduction is like, think of it as like adding to your body. So like when you go in, like you're adding to like, I guess like the midline of your body. But the way I think of it is like abduction is someone's abducting you, so like they're taking you away, so it's going away from your body. And adduction is you're adding to your body, so like you're going towards your body. And pronation is just like facing downwards. Supination is upwards, pronation is downwards. So the leaderboard, Kyler, Samara, Kay, Grizz, and Kawan Mushi are top 5. Good job. Next question. Oh, there's no image for this question. Is just where are your biceps located in relation to your brachioradialis? This is one of the more tougher one. It is, yeah, there's no image for this, however. So the correct answer is superior, yes. So your biceps are, if you guys can see, your biceps are your muscle in your arm where your humerus is, but then your brachioradialis is a muscle that's in your forearm. And a way to identify like where the brachioradialis is that it says radialis, which refers to the radius. So it is that muscle that's along your radius on the side of your thumb. So where your radius is, that's where your brachioradialis is. And then your bicep is above it, so therefore it's superior to your brachioradialis. Leaderboard. Nice. All right, next question. Which muscle is highlighted in green? Nice, you guys all got this correct. Yes, it is the orbicularis oculi. If I guess you guys don't really or you guys know already, but like the difference between the orbicularis oculi and the orbicularis oculi and the orbicularis oris is the way I think of it is like oculi just means like, I think of like oculus rift. It's something that you put over your eyes, and then your oris is like an orifice. It's a hole so that your mouth, is where the orbicularis oris muscle is. So that's like the hole in your body. Oris is, or orifice is hole, so it's where your mouth is, and the oculi is like where your eyes are. Great job. So you guys can see the leaderboard for a little bit. Next question. Which muscle is highlighted?
I think you're still on question 5.
Oh my God, my Zoom crashed again. Sorry. Why does it keep crashing?
You're on mute.
Says that every time. Sorry. Yes, question 6. I guess we weren't really able to do this, but it is the pectoralis minor. The pectoralis minor is a little bit underneath the pectoralis major. It's like that pectoralis major would be the muscle that's the big muscle on your chest. It'd be like taking up this entire space, and it is on top of your pectoralis minor. So the pectoralis major is that smaller muscle, and it's underneath the pectoralis major. And we aren't able to really do that question, unfortunately. Oops. So our next question is, what is a bursa? Correct answer is the sac of synovial fluid. The sheath around the tendons, those are the tendon sheets. Those are the name for that. So the sheet around the tendons are tendon sheets. Bursa are the sacs of synovial fluid that sit outside your bones and in between like your bones and muscles. So those are the sac of synovial fluid. That are just like sacs in it of itself, and the sheets around the tendons are like the thin, very thin bursa that go along tendons, and they're not like sacs or like little circles. Those are what the bursas are. Take a look at the leaderboard. And next question. Which muscle is highlighted? Yeah, this is one of the harder ones. Memorizing the muscles of the legs are a little bit more difficult, and like the forearms. The correct answer is gastrocnemius. Great. So the gastrocnemius is that big muscle that consists of like most of your calf, and you can see it goes down this tendon part. It goes down all the way to your Achilles. The tibialis posterior, you have a tibialis anterior and posterior. The tibialis posterior is underneath the gastrocnemius. The gastrocnemius is the most superficial or outside layer of muscle, and underneath it also directly sits the soleus. It's a little bit smaller, but it is underneath the gastrocnemius. A good way to identify the gastrocnemius is that it has these two heads. these two muscle heads, and it also goes all the way down to your Achilles tendon. So that's the main way that I remember to identify the gastrocnemius muscle. Take a look at the leaderboard. Great job, 8 for 8. Good job, Kyler. Next question. What does the term brevis mean? The correct answer is short. So when you like see the term brevis, there are some terms or some muscles whose like in your forearms or like your hamstrings or I think even like your leg, but I'm pretty for sure your forearms and like your fingers and stuff. The term brevis means short, so that basically means a short muscle. Longest means long, and brevis is short. For below, that would be inferior. Inferior means below. I'm not really sure if there's one for behind. Maybe that would be more like deep. The term for behind would be like deep, more deeper into the body or like underneath something. In half. I'm not sure if there's a term for half, but the term for short is brevis, and the term for long is longest. So that's how if you see the muscles with longest or brevis, you can tell, oh, this is a long muscle or this is a short muscle, depending on like the name that it has. Here's the leaderboard. Next question. Which muscle is highlighted? And the correct answer is deltoid, yes. So a way to identify the deltoid is like kind of like a triangular muscle. The shape of it is it's kind of like a triangle, and that's where it's got its name. Deltoid came from delta, the Greek letter, and the Greek letter for delta is a triangle. So the muscle is kind of shaped like a triangle. That's one way to identify it. And yeah, the deltoids are like right where your shoulders are, right here. Your trapezius are you're also known as your traps. They're the muscles that are more like towards your neck and a little bit like above and more medial compared to the deltoid. Levator scapulae is one of the muscles that helps you levitate your scapula or your shoulder blade. I'm not really sure in this image where it's located, but yeah, that's what that muscle does. And take a look at the leaderboard. 10 for 10. Great job, Kyler. We have a few more questions. What is your main breathing muscle? And the answer is the diaphragm. So yeah, the diaphragm sits like directly underneath your lungs, and every time it expands, that's when you breathe out, and every time it contracts, that's when you breathe in. So it's like pushing on your lungs to push the air out, or letting your lungs open up and fill in with air. So your diaphragm is your main breathing muscle. In the internal intercostals, and I think the external intercostals as well, those are muscles that are around your ribs. Intercostal is just coastal refers to ribs, so they're like in and around your ribs. They help breathing, but they're not the main muscle that allows you to breathe. Like if you're doing really like intense like workouts or you're running a lot, then that's when the intercostal muscles start to help you breathe a little bit more, to help expand your like your rib cage and area to allow more oxygen in. But the main breathing muscles that you like use like all the time is your diaphragm. So diaphragm is the main breathing muscle. You see the leaderboard. Next question. Which muscle is shown? This is one of the harder ones, I would say, because the face muscles can be hard to remember. The correct answer is the masseter. So yes, the masseter is that muscle that sits like kind of behind your jaw. This is what's responsible for you to open and close your mouth and like clench your jaw, and it is the strongest muscle in your body because of how much force it can output within your jaw. So yeah, the masseter is that one that goes like it goes like up and down. That's the direction, and it is the strongest muscle in your body. This is an interesting fact.
Where's the risorius located?
The risorius, I'm not sure. It's around your jaw, but like I'm not sure exactly where it is. If you just like look on a Google image, you can find it. But I know it's around your jaw. I'm just not exactly sure where around it is. Next question, how many muscles make up the quadriceps? And the correct answer is 4. Yes, 4 muscles make up your quadriceps. You get that through the name. Quad means 4, so there's 4 muscles. Other muscles like your biceps, there are 2 muscles or 2 like parts, or no, yeah, 2 muscles that make up your biceps. That's why it's bi. And then there's 3 muscles that make up your triceps. So that's why it's tri. So like names or the terms of the muscles, they have like little hints of like what it is, or like the structure, or like how many there are. So like biceps, there's 2, triceps, there's 3, and quadriceps, there's 4. So when you see quad, it's 4. 4 muscles make up the quadriceps. You guys can see the leaderboard for a little bit. Next question. Which muscle is highlighted? And the correct answer is lateral rectus. So yes, so the difference between lateral and medial rectus, lateral is more on the outside, medial is more towards like the midline, the middle of your body. So there is a medial rectus muscle, but that's more towards like the middle, the midline of your body. But then the lateral rectus is on the outside. So if you're looking so we're looking at this image, we're looking from the side of the skull. So that would be the outside part. So that's where the lateral rectus is, right here, because it's on the outside, the lateral side. You can see the other other muscles, the inferior rectus right here, superior rectus, and then this one right here is the superior oblique. and this green one is the lateral rectus. And next question. What is the name of the highlighted green structure? And the correct answer is linea alba. Yes. So the linea alba is just like connective tissue that runs down the middle of your rectus abdominis. Its job is to hold the muscles together, so like your abs aren't like going out of place. So it holds and keeps the structure of the rectus abdominis, and it goes down the middle. The way I remembered it is like linea alba. It's a line, this like line that just goes right down the middle. And leaderboard. Great job, Kyler. 15 out of 15. Ace this quiz. Great job. So in summary, for this workshop, we cover the joints, the 3 different types: fibrous, cartilaginous, synovial joints. We also talked about the cranial, the 12 cranial nerves. The important things to remember about them are their number, name, function, type, which like sensory, motor, or both, and the location it is on the brain. When you look at an image, you should you want to be able to identify which nerve is which. And then we also just went over different muscles, which is similar to your lab test, where you will get muscles, images of muscles, and you have to identify which muscle it is. A little study tips I also have for when you study for BIOL 65. This is what I did. For your lecture tests, your lecture exams, since they are a lot like word-based, they're not really pictures. What I did was use flashcards, like Quizlet. I made my own Quizlet of all like the terms and definitions, and I just went through it over and over and memorized those, because it's all like wording, so it's all memorization. So that's my like best way to memorize like different terms and definitions, is use flashcards. Use you could write it, or you can use things like Quizlet, because if you use Quizlet, you could kind of like pull it up whenever you want on your phone if you're anywhere, and you can just study it on the go. And for the lab test, since they're all pictures, what I did was I will use this website called Purpose Games. And if you go to Purpose Games, you can search up things like the heart, the brain, different muscles, pretty much almost anything. And it's basically a matching game. So it would show a term, and then you have to click on the image where that term is. And I would do it over and over again until I got it right like twice. And to me, it was more like, it's like a game. So like you're kind of learning, but you don't really feel like you're studying. And by the end of it, you'll be able to retain information, because on the lab test, you guys will like get images, or like you have a body part, and then you have a highlighted structure, and you've got to be able to identify what that structure is. So if you play the game, you already know like, okay, this structure is this. One thing though, be careful, the games are made by other people, so like they may not have all the terms that you need to study. So go off of your terms list and make sure that you know what those terms are that you need to know. And what else? Oh yeah, and also you can make your own games. So like when I was studying for BIOL 65, it did take a long time, but like I would get images straight off of the lectures or lab slides that you guys used, and then make my own games specifically to the terms that we need to know. So then if you're studying exactly like what they give you, and like the images and the terms that they give you, and you're just playing through the game, when you see it on a test, you've done it before, and then it allows you to like go through it really easily. And one last thing, when you guys study, is plan out your study sessions. Try not to do it all at once. Don't procrastinate, and do it like a few days before, what I did was I started studying about a week before the test. I'd like set different chapters that I would study for each day. And like once I'm done with that, then like I'm done for the day, because you don't want to cram too much, and then just keep studying like little by little throughout the days. And then I left the last day before the exam to like lightly go over everything. So the last day should be just like a review of everything that you already studied for like within the last week. Are your games still live? What's a keyword to search for them? When you say games, are you talking about the quiz or the purpose games? Because for both, the quiz I just gave you, I'm not really sure if I can like, I could send, oh no, I have an answer key for all the polling questions and the quiz questions that you guys just took. All you gotta do is complete the survey and you'll get that answer key. And then for the purpose games, it's just a website. There are also other websites that you can kind of search up. You just need to search up like anatomy matching games on Google, and then you'll get other sites. Purpose games is one of the more consistent ones, because they have a lot of users just submit whatever games they want to put up. So that site is always open for you to use. I meant purpose. It would be cool to do it with yours, since my actual games, purpose games, for some reason my games just got deleted. So like 2 or 3 times, like when I was studying, I'd make all these games with like the terms, and I spent like hours on it, and then I look back on it, and then like it looked like my account got like this like disabled or something, and all my games were deleted. So yeah, it was tough like when I saw my work just gone, because that was also what I used to study. But you can try. I think you just need to create like an account, and then you can start like inputting your own games into it. But yeah, I wish I still had those games. I would share it if I did. And lastly, a little reminder, these are my tutoring hours, and we also have Stacy, who also tutors. She tutors on Monday and Tuesdays. If you guys get these slides, you can also look at our schedules on your Canvas. For about 65, your professors did put it up. So you just go through the modules, and you'll be able to find our flyers for all our times and appointment hours. And lastly, thank you everybody for attending this workshop. I will have another one. There will be actually there'll be 2 more Bio 65 workshops. One will be with Stacy. She's gonna have her own, and then we're both gonna do one together at the end of the semester for like a final. Like right before your final is when we'll do one together. So there'll be another one where Stacy does it on her own, and then there'll be a last one, which is right before your final. Me and Stacy will do it together. So you guys are always welcome to join that as well. Are these? Oh no, all tutoring is free. It's all through the school. All you gotta do is sign up for an appointment, and then either with me or Stacy, and then yeah, well, you have like a set hour for us to tutor you individually. So yeah, and I will stop the sharing and end the recording right now, and then I will post the slides and the workshop I'll post the workshop survey, and then the link to the YouTube website, because this workshop will be posted online on our workshop on our website, and you can view it and anytime you want afterwards.